Now, the royal family are tonight battling yet more shocking allegations about Prince Andrew's links to the disgraced paedophile Jeffrey Epstein. In new court papers unsealed in the US last night, it is alleged that the Duke of York groped the breast of Joanna Sjoberg, who was recruited by Epstein's co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell to work as a massage therapist. The documents also allege that Prince Andrew took part in a, quote, underage orgy whilst on holiday at Jeffrey Epstein's Caribbean home, and that one of Epstein's victims, known only as Jane Doe 3, was forced to have sex with the prince on 3 separate occasions, all while she was a minor. So far, Buckingham Palace have refused to comment because Andrew is no longer a working member of the royal family. But given the bombshell new allegations, which the Duke of York has previously said are categorically untrue, tonight I am asking, how much longer can the royals stay silent? Does the firm have to comment on his behaviour? Let me know your thoughts. Email me right now, gbviews@gbnews.com. Tweet me at gbnews. Make sure you go and take in our poll, which is on Twitter right now. So, to debate this, I'm joined by the editor-at-large of the Mail on Sunday, Charlotte Griffiths, and the CEO of anti-monarchy group Republic, Graham Smith. Both of you, thank you very much. Now, I hope you're not offended, Charlotte. I normally go ladies first, but I think, given the recent developments, I'm going to go to Graham first, actually. Graham, am I right in saying that you have reported Prince Andrew to the police?
Yes, that's right, because the police have claimed that they've looked at this in the past and decided to take no action. Now, this is new evidence. It's not just about Virginia Giuffre. There is evidence that there is an ongoing practice of having these girls trafficked to various places around the world, including London. So there is quite a lot riding on them taking this seriously and investigating this, because if they don't, what does that do in terms of emboldening powerful men and thinking they can get away with this kind of thing? And what's that do in terms of the confidence of women reporting this kind of thing to the police? But also, Andrew needs to be properly investigated, which has so far not happened. So we're saying the police need to respond, the Parliament should be talking about this, and the King should be responding about how much...
Have the police got back to you? Have you heard anything from the police, Greg?
No, well, I reported them today, so the police don't, and to be honest, the police don't normally get back to you personally unless you're personally involved, but, we do expect them to respond in some way.
OK. Charlotte, what do you make of that? Do you think the police should really be getting involved now?
I think the matter is done. I mean, Cressida Dick said originally, didn't she, that no one is above the law. But the whole matter was dropped back at the time, and there's no real new evidence here, is there? I mean, it's the same stuff that we've known about before. There's nothing massively new. So I don't expect the police will get back to you, to be honest, Graham.
OK, Charlotte, do you think the royal family should be commenting? They are, some would say, hiding behind the fact that he is now quite conveniently no longer a working royal.
Yeah, I mean, it is quite convenient because that's the whole point. The whole reason they stripped Andrew of his HRH status was so they wouldn't have to comment, and as a sort of punishment of sorts. But, the whole thing is that, this will get dredged up. It seems to be an annual occurrence. And the royal family have taken really drastic, serious action to make sure they don't have to comment every single time it comes up again and again. So, yes, it is convenient. It was part of the plan. It's the strategy.
Okay. Why should they not? I mean, Charles is our head of state. It's a public position. It's a monarchy, which means it's the family are in public positions. And when these things were happening 20 odd years ago, Andrew was a official government trade envoy, and he was a active member of the royal family on the taxpayers' ticket. Now, the fact that he's now left or stepped back or whatever is neither here nor there. They have to answer questions about who knew what, when, why it took them 11 years to get him to step down, despite the fact that we've known about these sorts of things for so long. We've known about his relationship with Epstein since 2011. We've known about the allegations against him since 2014. You would not be saying, no one would be saying, look, no, of course they don't have to comment, or they should only comment to make this all go away, if it was a prime minister or a opposition leader or any other public figure. Public figures should be accountable, and they should answer questions to the press directly, not the questions, not just simply put out statements, but actually answer questions and be accountable to the public.
OK, I mean, Charlotte, is it not maybe just going to hang around like a bad smell unless they do comment?
It will hang around like a bad smell, but commenting they know perfectly well. Commenting, if Prince Charles or King Charles were to comment, it would not make it go away. It would make it 10 times worse. And in answer to the reason why it took so long for Andrew to step down from his HRH status, don't forget the Queen was having to make that decision, and it's her own son. So the whole thing was incredibly convoluted by the fact that, any mother having to make that decision. It wasn't just a business decision. This is a woman and her son as well. So that sort of delayed matters.
It's not that convoluted, because it was always made, a huge point was always made about the fact that the Queen put duty first, and she is head of state and he is a public official, and that has to be the dynamics through which this is looked at. And the fact that it took so long before anyone took any action is appalling. And these accusations have not gone away. He is still.
But they are just that, though, Graham. Oh, look, I will put this to you. They are just that, and obviously you are the CEO of the anti-monarchy group Republic, so it does, to be fair, follow that logic.
They are accusations, but they are accusations.
You would want to do anything that would lead to the destruction of the monarchy. So is it fair for me to ask you, Graham, is it fair for me to ask you that realistically you are assuming these allegations are true because it suits your narrative, Prince Andrew denies them, and therefore there's no real need for us to go any further, Graham?
I think that there is plenty of reason to think that this should be investigated. For a start, he kept on refusing to, or suggesting that he'd never met Virginia Giuffre, despite the very obvious evidence to the contrary. He's since paid out £12 million, is the estimated figure, to avoid having to go to court and explain himself in the United States. There is plenty of reason to think that there may be some truth to this, and we need to have that properly investigated, not simply have it speculated through the press, but actually have a proper criminal investigation. And I can tell you now, if this was anybody else, if it wasn't Prince Andrew, if it wasn't a royal, it would have been investigated.
It's not necessarily true, though, is it? Yeah. It's not necessarily true, though. It's not happening with Bill Clinton, is it? I mean, I know what you mean, but I get what you mean, the idea, the theory that should be the case. But I mean, it objectively isn't the case, right? Because we're seeing other people who are named here, and it doesn't really seem to be happening with them. But Charlotte, can you just peel the curtain back for us on the royal family at the moment and see how are they reacting to this? I mean, is this just old news for them in a way? Have they been through this, processed it already, they've dealt with it?
Well, it is old news. What's slightly different is that Charles, I think there's some inkling of hope that Charles might one day be able to bring Andrew back into the fold. And I think that just isn't going to happen anymore. I think the fact that he walked with the royal family at Sandringham on Christmas Day indicated that, maybe Charles, maybe in 20 years' time or something, hoped that he might be able to have his brother somehow back in the royal family. But that just isn't going to happen. And I think maybe this might be the first time since he's become king that Charles will be realising, hold on a minute, this is never going to happen. I'm going to have to be pretty tough on my brother and keeping seriously at arm's length forevermore.
Yeah, well,
keeping him in a luxurious lifestyle is not being tough on his brother. And, we have had sexual offence allegations against numerous celebrities go back 30, 40 years, and the police have investigated them and prosecuted. With Andrew, it's 20 years ago. He had police officers with him for most of the time. They know where he was. They know whether or not he was in Woking Pizza Express or wherever he's claiming to be. He is being caught out saying complete nonsense, and he should therefore be properly investigated, and that has not happened.
The argument against that, Graham, though, to be fair, is that they might have been there and they might know it's not true. That's where that falls down, isn't it, really?
Well,
if he was surrounded by police...
That's why you investigate it. The point of an investigation is not to prove him guilty, is to find out the truth of whether or not he is guilty, and that has simply not happened, which raises doubts as to whether, why is it not happening? Why do we not have that happening yet?
Well, look, I would love to have you both on again very, very shortly, because I imagine this story is going to bubble away, isn't it? As the editor-at-large at the Mail on Sunday, Charlotte Griffiths, and the CEO of the anti-monarchy group Republic, Graham Smith, who has just reported Prince Andrew to the police over that. But look, who do you agree with? As more allegations about Andrew's links to Jeffrey Epstein arise, should the royal family comment on his behaviour? Simon on Twitter says, I don't believe he's been charged or convicted of any crime. The media should give him a rest. Fair enough. Julie on Twitter says, all the allegations are Andrew's mess and he alone must take responsibility for them. He's hiding behind his family. Now, that's a good point. Should he front up to this? I mean, he won't, will he? Chris on Twitter says, the royal family shouldn't speak on behalf of Andrew, but they can make sure he's permanently banned from public appearances and kept out of sight for the rest of his life. Well, your verdict is now in. Oh, here we go. 41% of you agree that the royal family should comment on new Prince Andrew allegations. 59% of you say they should not. So really, quite split there, especially given the nature of some of our polls. The royal family aren't commenting on the latest Prince Andrew allegations, but of course, when revelations first emerged of his links to Jeffrey Epstein back in 2019, this is what they said then. The Duke of York has been appalled by the recent reports of Jeffrey Epstein's alleged crimes. His Royal Highness deplores the exploitation of any human being, and the suggestion that he would condone, participate in or encourage any such behaviour is abhorrent.